So this is an interesting area. Unlike if your client was at Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley and you could say, give me limited user access, account manager, business manager access, what have you, whatever they call it.
And there's a framework for that. It's
absolutely really easy with most of those major brokerages. Or at very least we could say, you know what, make it an anonymous password, share it with us, limit access. The biggest problem with blockchain is we probably, for risk purposes, especially if you have a firm with multiple people and just as a best practice, don't want to gain access to that last mile. And what I mean by that is we usually do not want to know what their private keys are. We don't want to know what their logins are to the actual exchanges. We don't want to ever physically or virtually take any possession or access to wallets.
So if somebody says, I want you to do that, it would not really be too smart to do that.
Well,
generally.
It's a possibility, and it really depends on the firm and the person. I think in some extreme circumstances, we've had people who, let's say, are accidental crypto investors. I can get into that a bit later, but it's sort of, you know,
it's not that much money and it's just kind of a side.
More like I gave my kid, you know, $10,000 and all of a sudden he returned 250.
Great
so, you know, good things to
Smart
happen,
kid.
but not someone who is intending or really had an affinity or even really knows what's going on. So they might need a little bit of extra hand holding. So you certainly don't want to turn them away completely. But I think as a general best practice, I would say to try and avoid that. It requires taking a little bit of extra time to educate your clients. And I also recommend working with an intermediary software, which we can go through a bit later, I'm sure, and will be put up by the program. And
so you would kind of provide some instruction of how the client can pull their own records.
Absolutely.
Okay, and be able to present it to you in an external source where you're not getting access to all this sensitive data. And I think you make a good point too about considering whether you have a team in your office and temp workers and all that. So I think those are some great things.